What's up, everybody? So I wanted to come on and do a video on something that I've been meaning to talk about for a while on here, and that's going to be body weight. So I'm going to talk about what is it, what is its relevance to what we do in physique sport, and does it matter, and then kind of talk about why it does what it does. And then I just want to briefly touch on a supplement that I think is somewhat relevant to what I'm talking about. So first thing I'll start with, what is body weight? Body weight is the measure of Earth's gravitational pull on your body. Now, the more mass that someone has, no matter what that is, the higher that gravitational pull is going to be. So weight is including your body muscle tissue. It's your body fat, obviously, bones, joints, tendons, ligaments, skin, hair, nails, body water, and anything that I didn't mention. So anything that makes up your body is going to account in your body weight. And that's important to know for something I'm going to talk about in a minute. The way that I use it as a coach, and the way a lot of coaches use it, is just as a data point. If we make a change, we might expect weight to do something, and it may not do what we expect it to do. But if we, kind of understand physiology, then we know that it's not necessarily that the call we made was wrong or anything. It's just that there's some other variables in place. So it's one small piece of data that we track, and it's easy to track, right? We're not having to do invasive, scans and things like that just to get, a number. All you have to do is step on the scale, look at it, write it down, and move on. At least that's what we want everybody doing. So now that we talked about what it is and kind of how we use it vaguely, I want to talk about if it matters. Now, the only time that it's really that important is if you have a weight class to make. I tell athletes all the time, if you come to me and start a prep or start, off season or whatever we're doing, if your body weight doesn't move whatsoever, but you look the way we want you to after X number of weeks or whatever period of time is, then I consider that actually probably a win, right? Whether you're going up or down. If you get leaner and your weight stays the same, that means you held on to or added some muscle probably. If you, are trying to grow and, your body weight doesn't move, but you lose body fat and you're, quote unquote, recomping into that weight, then that's probably a good thing as well. So it doesn't have to move, to be successful either direction. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. So what I get asked a lot, by clients who are either newer or, just haven't had this conversation with me yet, or haven't watched this video now that I'm making it, about, why does my body weight do X, Y, or Z? The most common thing that I hear in a check-in or a message or whatever is, hey, I'm following everything perfectly. I'm hitting checking all the boxes, doing all the cardio, the meals are perfect in, my, or macros or whatever it is, everything's perfect. I'm doing everything exactly on the plan. But my body weight didn't go down or it went up. So what does that mean? It could mean a lot of things, or it could mean absolutely nothing. A lot of times body weight will not respond linearly to changes, or to consistency, because there are other variables in play besides just, losing tissue, whether that's fat or muscle or whatever. So I'll just give you an example. Let's say, I have a client who, we are just getting started, or maybe not just getting started, maybe we're, midway through a prep or toward the end of a prep. They've been doing X number of cardio minutes a week, and, their meals and macros or whatever have been where they are. Well, let's say I make a big slash, right? So I take some food away, add a little bit of cardio, and, they spend a week following the new numbers, and their body weight goes up a pound. Well, what happened here? Well, they didn't gain fat from going from one consistent place to less food in, more output of energy. They didn't put on fat in a week like that. It's not possible. So What likely happened in this specific example is that inflammation went up. Maybe we added, cardio, and that is now, causing some water retention in the legs because we're, quote unquote, beating the legs up with cardio. Do we want the legs to be inflamed? No, but that's just kind of part of prep sometimes. So the opposite side of this is sometimes, I'll push somebody like this for a week or for however many days or whatever. Well, then I give, maybe a diet break and or a cardio break. Well, now that they've got some more food and or less cardio, a lot of that inflammation starts to drop. Well, okay, then we lose some weight. So it's counterintuitive to think, oh, I'm doing less now, but my weight's dropping. So it can get very confusing and somewhat frustrating if you don't, have a grasp or have someone to explain to you, that it's okay that weight didn't do exactly what you thought it would do, at the rate you thought it would. Because ultimately, in physique sport, it doesn't matter what your weight is on stage anyway, unless you have, well, on stage, period, you might have weigh-ins, but on stage, it doesn't matter. So what, the solve for that is to, collect body weights consistently and look at trends versus just, oh, well, this 7 days or, or 7 days later, my weight is up again or whatever, right? Well, okay, well, let's look at a 2-week period and see what weight's been doing, right? Because ultimately, yes, if you're losing fat, and you're not gaining a good bit of muscle, you'll eventually lose some weight, depending on, anabolics in play and things like that. So that's one example, right? So you get inflamed from, and training does the same thing, right? And maybe even more so, you have a good hard leg workout. I've got one client specifically who he works a job that he moves around some, and then when he does a leg day, for a day or two after it, he's up at 2 or 3 pounds. Well, then, he gets off work. He's not, he hadn't trained his legs in a few days. So all that inflammation in his legs is now coming off and the weight's dropping. And we know that because we've been working together for a little while. So it's not something that alarms me or concerns me because I know what his body's doing. So that's one example. Inflammation could be up. Something else that could happen, anabolics could play a role. So if you add in a new compound or, you're on something with a longer ester that takes a little bit longer to get absorbed into the body and built up in the body, then something that you started a week or two or even longer could eventually be taking effect. So if you're gaining weight in a deficit, but you're maintaining weight in a deficit, then, it could be that you're preserving muscle tissue or that, the anabolics are causing you to hold more carbs in the muscle and that sort of thing. Or you could be, holding some water from some of the anabolics and that sort of thing. So, there are all kinds of issues, that could cause weight to do, one thing or the other. The biggest thing that's going to be, a consideration is going to be water, whether it's retention or loss or, intake. If you're not drinking enough water, your body's going to try to hold some water. That's a whole hormonal response thing that I'm not going to get into right now, but you can potentially hold on to some water, which will make you a little heavier, or, maintain weight or that sort of thing, and can even affect your look. So, as a coach, we have to get experience with knowing the difference between fat and water and that sort of thing. So that's the other thing is, it could be an anabolic response or a response to anabolics that you're taking. And again, that's not going to be automatically immediate, depending on what you're taking, how you're taking it, that sort of thing. So those are pretty much, that's a couple of examples of why weight could be doing something different. Another thing, one more thing I'll address as far as weight and why it might not be dropping, say you start to get hungrier because you're dieting or whatever, and you add in maybe some more vegetables, or you switch from white rice to brown rice, or from white rice to potatoes, or pasta to potatoes, or something like that. So you're going to have more food volume, which is the whole point of switching to those types of foods, which is going to prevent hunger and prevent blood sugar spiking too quickly, which could increase hunger and cause energy crashes and that sort of thing. So if you're increasing some of your food choices to be a little bit slower digesting, whether that's your coach making the changes to the meal plan or whether you're doing that on your own, if you're on macros, whatever that looks like, if you You add food volume, that's going to make you heavier because it's going to sit in your gut longer. You're going to hold water in your gut with that. And so that's going to make you a bit heavier. So, that could be something that would cause an issue as well as, that food selection. Also, your sodium intake. If your sodium intake is higher than normal, on a day or a couple of days or whatever, then that could potentially cause some water retention too, until your body has a chance to, even that out. Your body's very good at doing that, so it's not really a big concern. It's just something that you have to know not to stress over. So those are some of the reasons, that it might go up or down or be confusing. But what you shouldn't do is freak out over it, because there are, hormones related to stress. And if you're stressing over weight, that could also cause water retention. And then your weight's actually not going to do what you want it to do anyway. Assuming that you're, not holding on to excessive muscle and that sort of thing, where it's not going to drop, anyway, or adding muscle. So, it's important to not dwell on, that number and not to worry or stress over, because it's only going to make that issue worse. But again, the number is not really that important as far as, looking good on stage and that sort of thing, other than if you have to make weight or whatever. So I hope that helps a lot as far as, looking at scale weight objectively and, knowing that if it doesn't do what you think it's supposed to, it's probably not because you're putting on fat or not gaining muscle if you're in a surplus and, you're on anabolics and that sort of thing. If it's not going up when you think it should be, then, it might be that you're, recomping and actually losing some fat. So it's just kind of the opposite of the other direction. So hopefully that helps to know, that it's not the end all be all. It's not that important in the grand scheme, as long as you, can see trends and analyze those. And most importantly, that your body's changing the way that you want it to and at the rate that you need it to be ready to get on stage. So those are all the things about body weight I want to talk about, but I do want to hit on one supplement. It's not necessarily going to make you lose weight, but hopefully at this point, that's not that important to you anymore, based on what all I just said. But I want to talk about the IntraAdvantage from O15. This is actually one of my favorite products. One of the reasons that I was so excited to get on with Tiger Fitness and with O15. Basically, it's got your carbohydrates, it's got your electrolytes and EAAs, and also some taurine. So the electrolytes and the taurine are going to help with cell volumization and also prevent cramping. And then, the carbs are going to fuel the workout and prevent muscle protein breakdown. Same with the EAAs. So I like to have those intra workout to fuel, the workout and to get the recovery process started. And then, immediately after, I like to go ahead and have a shake. I can talk about intra and post-workout nutrition on a different video, but it is nice to sort of have all those, opportunities to build muscle optimized, because I don't want to wait if there's no reason to wait, to have a post-workout shake or whatever, to have the intra-workout nutrition in order to, prevent muscle breakdown or to get the building process started, a little bit quicker, depending on which phase I'm in or how my body's responding, to the training and cardio that I'm in. So intra workout, very important, could potentially maintain some weight for you, in the form of muscle tissue, hopefully, obviously. And, so just something to think about there. So, check the link in my Instagram bio for that. If you want to go shopping for that, help out or support us and show Tiger Fitness some love. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about body weight, if you have any discussion you want to have or anything like that, anything that you thought I said that was kind of stupid or whatever, put the comments below and I'll address them. And I appreciate you guys watching this one, and hopefully it helped a little to clear up some of the concerns around body weight. Talk to you guys next time.